Well, friends, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I know that others are going to be joining us little by little. We're glad that you're here, and we are going to start our service. If you have one of our prayer books, you'll see Mishkan Tefillah on the front. That is the prayer book we're using. And if you see 2 page numbers, we're following the page number in blue brackets. The page number that's in blue brackets. If you have a thick, heavy book and there's only 1 page number, you're in good shape. We don't have to worry. We're going to start on page 129. To turn to page 120 and bring light into our sanctuary, God's light, the Shabbat light. And so we're going to ask Molly and Scarlett, Asher, Franny, and Mark, if you folks will come forward and join us. Hit it, Scarlett. One more.
That works.
You're doing great.
You know, that's for confirmation. We teach candle lighting.
Wonderful.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
Amen. You should hug each other or something. Wonderful. Friends, we're going to ask you to please rise as they continue hugging. We are on page 123. We continue with our Kiddush.
You can use one.
Amen. Take a sip. Good job. You may be seated. Let's turn back to our prayer books, page 138. Page 138, 139, we continue with the L'cha Dodi, the prayer of our mystics from Tzfat. We continue with the first 5 stanzas. After the 5th one, we jump to the very last one. When we reach the last one, our custom is to rise, face the open doors in the back of our sanctuary, and in a symbolic way, we welcome the Sabbath bride into our midst. But even with our friends playing and leading, we want you to know that this is for all of us. We all get to sing. So no performances here. They want you to sing along with.
Please.
138 and join us.
L'cha Dodi,
לקראת
kala,
פני
Shabbat,
שבת,
לקבלה, L'cha Dodi, לקראת kala, פני Shabbat, לקבלה,
לקראת וזכור לדיבור אחד,
השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם תפארת ולתהילה. L'cha Dodi,
לקראת
לקראת kala,
לכלה,
Pnei Shabbat,
פני שבת,
Lekabela,
לקבלה,
Lecha Dodi,
לך דודי,
Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה,
Pnei Shabbat,
פני שבת,
Lekabela,
לקבלה,
Likrat Shabbat, Lechu v'nilcha, Ki hi mekor habracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshavat chila, Lecha Dodi,
לך דודי,
Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה,
Pnei Shabbat,
פני שבת,
Lekabela,
לקבלה,
Lecha Dodi,
לך דודי,
Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה,
Pnei Shabbat,
פני שבת,
Lekabela,
לקבלה,
Mikdash Melech Pir Melucha, Kumitzei mitoch ha'afecha, Rav lach shevet be'emek ha'bacha, Vehu yachamol alayich chema, Lecha Dodi,
לך דודי,
Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה,
Pnei Shabbat,
פני שבת,
Lekabela,
לקבלה,
Lecha Dodi,
לך דודי,
Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה,
Pnei Shabbat,
פני שבת,
Lekabela,
לקבלה,
Hitnari me'afar kumi, Livshi bigdei tifatechami, Al yad ben Yishai beit halachmi, Korva el nafshi ge'ala, Lecha Dodi,
לך דודי,
Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה,
Pnei Shabbat,
פני שבת,
Lekabela,
לקבלה,
Lecha Dodi,
לך דודי,
Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה,
Pnei Shabbat,
פני שבת,
Lekabela,
לקבלה,
Hitoreri, Hitoreri, Kiva Orei, Kumi Ori, Uri, Uri, Shir Daveri, Kevod Adonai alayich nida, Lecha Dodi,
לך דודי,
Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה,
Pnei Shabbat,
פני שבת,
Lekabela,
לקבלה,
Lecha Dodi,
לך דודי,
Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה,
Pnei Shabbat,
פני שבת,
Lekabela,
לקבלה,
Lecha Dodi,
Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei HaShalom. Bechadoti Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Kabbalah Bechadoti Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Kabbalah.
We're going to remain standing, and I'm going to invite you after that welcoming the Sabbath bride and saying Shalom Aleichem, peace unto you, that you wish some peace to your neighbor. Turn to someone you don't know, share your name, introduce yourselves, and wish a Shabbat Shalom.
Shoivus.
With you peace.
You too. Peace. Oh, yeah. That's true.
Wonderful. We turn back to the prayer book. All right, that's enough of being nice. 146. Page 146, we stay standing.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach.
We remain standing. Let's look inside our handouts that you might have received. All the way to the right-hand side, you'll see on the top, roll into dark. That's where we continue.
Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Forever yom halayla, Torah lo niflei Moshe. Torah lo niflei turns to night.
152.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Yai la la ya la la la, yai la 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 la. Yai la la ya la 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 la. Yai la la ya la la la, yai la 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 la. Yai la la ya la 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 la. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Vaed. Yai la la ya la la la, yai la 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 la. Yai la la ya la 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 la. Yai la la ya la la la, yai la la la. Yai la la ya la 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 la. Shall love God with all of your heart, your soul, and with all of your might. You shall teach your children to grow, to love and to know what is right. Yai la la ya la la la, ya la ya la la. Yai la la ya la 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 la. Yai la la ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Yai la la ya la 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 la.
Let's be seated. 158. 158.
Who is like you? Adonai. Who is like you?
Adonai.
60.
Hashkivenu l'Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Hamidenu shomreinu l'chayim Hashkivenu l'Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Hamidenu shomreinu l'chayim Aleinu sukat shomecha V'tachneinu be'ezat tova milfanecha V'hoshienu lema'an shemecha Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Hamidenu shomreinu l'chayim Uvros aleinu sukat shomecha V'tachneinu be'ezat tova milfanecha V'hoshienu lema'an shemecha
We move into the tefillah. Turn to 164. We ask you to rise if you are able.
Adonai Svatai Tiftach Adonai Svatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Ve'hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Ve'konei Hakol Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot U'mevii Geula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Chozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Berofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Bal Gevurot Umidom Melach Melech Memid Umechaya Umatzmiach Yeshua V'nehemanata V'hachayot HaKol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei HaKol Atah Kadosh V'shimcha Kadosh U'kedoshim B'chol Yom Yehalelucha Selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Let's be seated. Join with me on 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. 178.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atah hu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki atah Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha
some time for our own private prayer, our own silent prayer. If you'd like to follow along in the Siddur, you can look on 180, 181, find a reading to reflect upon, or just take some time for some silence, for some quiet, maybe some reflection.
Page 180. Shalom Roma, Uyase Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Te'el, Ve'imru, Amen. Shalom Roma, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Te'el, Ve'imru, Amen. Yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. Shalom Roma, Uyase Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Te'el, Ve'imru, Amen.
If you open up these handouts again, right in the middle is a list of names, folks that are connected to this community, and they all have asked us to think about them and send a little strength their way. They're asking for some prayer, for health, for healing, and for a little bit of love. Our prayer for healing is on the page next to it. You'll see it towards the bottom. And if you have someone that you would like to share their names out loud, or just kind of keep it quiet to yourself, either works. But if you'd like to share a name out loud, we invite you just to call them out. It's okay if we say them all at the same time. We'll lift up all of these names on the page and in our hearts, and then we'll come together for this prayer for healing. Our prayer for healing, the bottom right side of this open handout.
Dear God of our ancestors, help us renew our faith. Grant us a perfect healing. Bring peace to all our days. And
So this is an interesting Torah portion. I know some of you have heard me say that before. But Moses, remember Moses? No. Who said no? Moses goes up to the mountain, gets this really special gift. God designs these special tablets. Some in movies say there were 3, but there were really just 2. And brings them down this mountain and is ready to have these tablets, these commandments, the top 10, bringing them to these ancient Israelites. Remember, they just got out of Egypt. It has only been weeks, really, since they were freed from Egyptian slavery. And Moses brings down the tablets, and there's like this really incredible, wonderful moment. And Moses finds the folks at the bottom of the mountain with this idol, a golden calf. See, Moses was up on this mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. And whenever you see this 40, and we see it a lot in the Torah, it just means a lot. We don't know exactly how long it was, but we know that it was a lot. And these folks who were just freed from Egyptian slavery, I don't know, how do you think they might feel? I would imagine they'd be pretty scared when Moses, their shepherd, so to speak, the one that's guiding them, tour guide even, is just not around. And everything that they saw with God and these miracles and all of these things that got them to the other side of the sea, ready to accept these commandments, they just felt that the ones that saved them, God and even probably Moses, were just missing. Some of us might say they got freaked out and they needed something for some comfort. All right, I think that's a possibility. The rabbis of old would say that when they built this golden calf and Moses came down and threw down the tablets and destroyed that idol, that this was just people kind of being people, forgetting a sense of gratitude, not having an appreciation for what just happened in their lives that was so monumental that they just forgot. And because Moses wasn't around and they couldn't make a physical connection to God, that they kind of freaked and they made a new God. It's possible. And the rabbis go down that route, but there's part of me, and in some conversations with some of you, who are wondering if this traumatized people, these folks who are just so wounded, it's not that they wanted to replace God, they wanted to figure out how to build a bridge to God, and all they knew how was to make an idol, because that's what they saw in Egypt. Don't forget, a calf was one of the Egyptians' gods, which on some level makes it even harder or worse, because they are filling in the gaps with an idol that was a god of the folks that beat them up. So you can kind of have a sense of maybe how traumatized these people have been. You know, it's been a few hundred years of slavery and no choices and all kinds of oppression. But one of the things that I like about Judaism is there's never one answer. It's kind of Jewish to have lots of true answers. And I dig that. I'm totally fine with that. I don't need one. Some days I am going to look at the lesson of how they weren't necessarily feeling grateful and maybe were becoming too comfortable and got free and then forgot about how they got there. Well, I see that a lot. We forget where our ancestors came from. And in this country, a lot of our ancestors have only been here a couple of generations, maybe 3. I know from my family, they came with nothing. And I live so differently than they did. But there's this expectation that we just kind of have to get more and more and more and forget about where we might have started and have a sense of appreciation. Having isn't a bad thing. If you're fortunate and lucky and blessed and groovy, more power to you. It means that we have more responsibilities, to be sure, but that sense of gratitude and grounding, sometimes we forget about that, even though it's one of the first things we were taught as young children. But I think that other part is true, that maybe God was a little harsh. And Moses too, flipping out because they made this calf where they didn't want to be alone. I can kind of appreciate that too. But there's another piece to this that I think is really interesting. And it's not just about whether they were grateful or not, or grounded, or how traumatized they might have been. I think there's even a third truth. And the third truth is coming from a teacher from just a couple of 100 years ago. He's a Hasidic rabbi. His name is Menachem Mendel of Kutsk. And he's known as the Kutzker Rebbe. So the Kutzker Rebbe would point to a verse where it says you're not allowed to make any idols. Well, the real translation, if I was going to translate it, is you can't make any molten gods. Now we know that that's an idol, so we just say it's an idol, but this idea of molten, it's taking all of that liquid gold or substance or something, it's wet, and they're putting it in a big mold. So this God version that they're trying to connect to is like fixed. And so this teacher is going beyond the physical idea of an idol that might be in front of them. Instead, the Kutzker is saying, don't make for yourself any gods that are fixed, that can't grow with us. I'm 52 years old. I look at God very differently than when I was 32 or when I was 12. I hope we all do. My version as a child is going to be super different than now. I have experiences, a few, some hurts, some wins, some joys, and sometimes being in the valley of shadows. And that is going to mean that as I grow, my understanding of the divine, of God, a higher power, I know some of us have some God baggage. I want to respect that. But at the same time, if there is a source out there that some of us will call God, and God isn't God's name, it's just a job title, so you can call whatever you want. If we have this sense of God or godliness, and some of us wrestle with these ideas, well, maybe it's because we put them in a container and had them fixed from so many years ago, and as we grow, our version of God is still from second grade. No offense to our second graders. So don't put God in this molten, fixed space. Perhaps we get to grow together. And I kind of find enormous comfort in the fact that maybe God is still growing too. Maybe it's not just how we understand God, but maybe over these millennia, that there's a sense of growing together. And if that's really a partnership, and I'm okay with being a junior partner, but if we have a partnership, then anytime we fix God, either in an image, in a picture, in a sculpture, or in some other kind of emotional container without any chance of growth or movement, I think we might lose. I think we deny ourselves the possibility of having a real spiritual outlook. And the way I look at things, now I know I'm a rabbi, so you're going to expect that I'm going to say, God is cool. I understand. But it's more than that, I think, for me. I think the world's really, really broken. and so messy and amazing and awesome. So filled with awe. I'm going to take all of that together. And in order to manage that for me, I need a spiritual grounding. I need a way to remind myself that I still have to show up for other people, not just for me. And it can't be other people without me. Like, we're in this. We have to take care of ourselves, but I have to be grounded enough to also know that I need to show up for other people, and it's not just about me. We know the teaching from Hillel, right? If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? We have to take care of ourselves, but don't forget the next line. It says, if I'm only for myself, what am I? It doesn't say who am I. It says what. If I'm only for myself, if I'm that kind of a narcissist, I lose my humanity and I become a what, not a who. Sounds like Sesame Street. Can we consider or reconsider what God, higher power, source, Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One of Blessing, can we imagine another way to see how we can grow with a presence that can help us find the strength and love and resilience to bounce forward, to show up for others, to take care of our messy and broken world? That's what the Kutzker is telling me. Our experiences of spirituality, religion, meaning, and inspiration, they're all going to grow over time, and we don't have to look at this thing that some of us call God in the same way as we did from childhood. I think we cheat ourselves because life happens a lot, and we grow, I hope, from it. But we're going to need some help, some support, maybe another perspective. So God doesn't have to be a form, and that's why Moses is so angry. But we sometimes feel, I don't know, estranged from the holy, the divine, because we're so committed to keeping God in this box. How we can experience being Jewish or faithful, no matter what background you have or you are, how we experience being religious today is different than 30 years ago. And it was totally different than 50 years ago. And it's certainly different than 100 years ago. So why do some of us hang on to 3rd century versions of God? I want a 21st century version of God. I need a 21st century version of holy and goodness and inspiration and comfort. And that's what I hear from the Torah. And that's why I love being Jewish. And that's why I appreciate my Judaism. There's always going to be something new to consider or explore, no matter how messy the world gets. Aleinu l'shabach, 586. We move toward the conclusion of the service. 586, we ask you to rise if you are able. Thanks. 586 at the bottom paragraph. Aleinu l'shabach, we ask you to rise if you are able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, ברוך
Page
הוא
588.
שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגותי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד
591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
May be seated. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. If you are observing a yahrzeit is the anniversary of one's death, or if you're in a period of mourning, we invite you, if you choose, to rise for a moment, share the name of the one whom you are remembering, and then we'll continue with additional names from our community. In addition to all of those names, we remember in the period of Shloshim, those first 30 days, Bill Diamond, the brother of Patricia Diamond Murphy, Jesse Allen Diamond, the son-in-law of Bob and Charlene Bazer, husband of Alexis. And we remember Paula Weiner, the grandmother of Stephanie Rubin. Those yahrzeits, the anniversaries of this week, from this week that has passed, we remember Bertha Schiffman, Dora Ergas Aruti, Sheldon Berry, Teresa Blum, Joseph Blum, Seymour Churgan, Arthur Darrow, Dora Dubin, Sylvia Edelman, Samuel Epstein, Cesar Espona Sr., Rosalind Favius, Nan Feldman, Michael Frank, Laura Camille Hall, Maxine Hobson, Jack Hoffman, Harold Lang, Ruth Gladys Sokol Lehman, Bonnie Geraldine Lehman, and Lumish Bob Manoff, Bill Matusoff, Hannah Mayer, Richard Miltonberger, Miyoyara Moran, Henrietta Nelson, Stanley Nussbaum, William Reiner, Mark Reese, Joseph Rosenblum, Yedida Rudowski, Saul Russo, Ned Shad, June Shapiro, Richard Shapiro, Rose Silvers, Zosia Stern, Norton Steuben, Edith Strum, Helen Tarnoff, Robert Turner, Casper Velick, Marsha Weller. Kaddish is on 598. We stand together if we are able. Our custom is to stand not just to praise God's name, but in that symbolic way we hold our friends up, because it's never easy to say these words. 598. Yitgadal, v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'meru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam olamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal, Shemeid Kudisha Barichu, Le'ala min kol birchata v'shirata, Tush birchata v'nechemata, Da'amiran be'alma v'meru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'meru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel, ve'emeru, Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort to the bereaved and the hurting, here and everywhere. Let's say Amen. You can be seated, but not Julian and Scarlett. You guys are going to come here for a second. Watch out for the wires. Careful, careful. Go that way. Yeah. Now come over here. Good. So, friends, now you're going to face me. You're there. You're perfect. Don't move. We want to say to the two of you, Mazal Tov. You know, this becoming B'nai Mitzvah, I know it's never really easy. And I'm okay with that, by the way, but the truth is, I think it's pretty powerful for you folks to show up in Jewish community. And I think it's pretty powerful when others show up for you too. We talked all of this stuff about golden calves and things that are phony, and I guess my hope, my prayer really for both of you and for your families is that you continue to journey forward and find ways to see things that are real, that are powerful, that will inspire you so that you can inspire others and be real human beings. One of my favorite teachings from the Mishnah is that in a place where nobody acts like a human being, you have to strive to be human. Sometimes we're like the lowest level of ourselves. And I think part of this process of becoming bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, be mitzvah, I think the whole process of becoming is helping us to figure out how do we want to walk in the world. And we want you to know, while it's not so easy, we also have your back. And that's what I think community is supposed to be about. So, my friends, here is a yad from our congregation for each of you. We hope that you will use it well and often, and we wish you a Shabbat Shalom and a Mazel Tov. You're welcome. Good. You can go back to your seats. That was so nice of you. Okay, back into our handout, our closing prayer. All the way to the right-hand side, when you open it up, you will see Ken Yehi Ratzon. We need lots of things in this world. Tonight, we start with a little prayer, a little hope, a little strength that we share. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's true will to bring this goodness and kindness to all of us.
So just as Rabbi Green shared that we can't just be for ourselves, but we need to be for ourselves. We need to also be for others and for our community. So our first prayer is for ourselves. So we say, may I be safe, may I be free. And then the second one is for someone who's been good to us in our lives. Anybody, think of someone. The third is for someone who's been difficult for us in our lives. We need to say prayers for the difficult people as well. And then, so we're going to do two yous. We're going to do an I and a you and another you, and then we're going to do a we for our whole community. So if it doesn't say all of that there, it is that. So I, you, we, and I'm going to give you directions, so we're good. Okay, and also, let's just learn the refrain really quickly. Ken yehi ratzon, let it be God's will, or let it be willed into this world. Ken yehi ratzon, may we find our way back home. Try it with me. Ken yehi ratzon, may we find our way back home. One more time. Ken yehi ratzon, may we find our way back home. Beautiful, beautiful. Be safe, may I be free, may I find space to just be. Ken yehi ratzon, may I find my way back home. Ken yehi ratzon, may I find my way back home. We call to mind someone who's been good to us, maybe a teacher, maybe a friend. We open up our hearts and we offer up this blessing. May you be safe. May you be free. May you find space to just be. Ken yehi ratzon, may you find your way back home. Ken yehi ratzon, may you find your way back home. We call to mind someone who's been difficult for us. We say blessings for them too. Let us open up our hearts and offer them up this blessing. May you be safe. May you be free. May you find space to just be. Ken yehi ratzon, may you find your way back home. Ken yehi ratzon, may you find your way back home. We call to mind all of us here in this space, our whole community, the Boulder community, the Colorado community, all life in this world. We open up our hearts to all, and we offer up this blessing. May we be safe. May we be free. May we find space to just be. Ken yehi ratzon, may we Shoivas.
Oneg out in the social hall. We'd be grateful if we bring our books back. And a good Shabbos. Thanks, friends. How lovely. Good job.